All right, well, politics make strange bedfellows. They are indeed friends, Donald Trump and Chris Christie, but they became fierce political rivals. And when the Donald Trump phenomenon became so big that it eclipsed the other straight shooter in the race, that is Chris Christie, and ultimately forced him out, there wasn't enough room for all of these guys. It is Chris Christie who comes back to support the man he once said was a very good entertainer, but wouldn't be a very good president. That was then, this is now, and it raises questions as to whether we are looking at the future, well, Republican ticket. It is anyone's guess, but when I raised it with Donald Trump over who we'd like as a possible running mate, should he be the party's nominee, well, listen to the type of guy I was looking for. Let me ask you a little bit about the running mate, if you don't mind my indulging in that. Do you look at certain types of people, if you were to be the nominee, I know it's early, you remind me of that, but do you look at certain types, governor, senator, or do you look at those who would offset the fact that they're this outside-the-box kind of with someone who's kind of inside the box, or what?
Well, I would think, and I'm not even, I'm discussing it with you because you're asking to discuss it, because, number one, I want to win, and after I win, I can think about this, because there are some really, really good people that we know. I would think that because of the fact that while I'm very political, I'm not a politician, I would want to choose a politician.
All right, he went on to explain his definition of a politician would be a governor, would be a senator, and all. He didn't get into individual names, but someone who was already in a political office. John Kasich's name, it's come up, the Ohio governor. Anyone's guess where this goes, but I do want to get a read right now from Lizzie McDonald, who's been listening and watching all of this. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting what he said, that he would want a politician, because you remember Donald Trump did go after Chris Christie when the New Hampshire newspaper, the union leader, endorsed Chris Christie. And then Donald Trump brought out the cannons and said, what were your political skills in embracing President Barack Obama right before the 2012 election after Hurricane Sandy? What about your bad credit rating for the state of New Jersey? He was questioning his gubernatorial skills. And he questioned whether Chris Christie, really, did you not know seriously about the George Washington Bridge scandal? So, of course, that's politics. That's the nasty game of politics. That could be set aside. I think you're absolutely right. I think what is important, what does Chris Christie bring to Donald Trump? It makes Donald Trump look presidential, and Chris Christie can be the attack dog for the Trump campaign. Which is what you used to want, right, in a running mate, Tim Carney, with the Washington Examiner. You wanted that vice presidential, your running mate, to be that attack dog. We veered from that in recent memory. But what do you think of that, these two on a ticket?
I think Christie will be a good attack dog, but it shows you if that is who he goes with, Chris Christie as a running mate, the kind of coalition he's trying to build. His weakness is now, because Trump is totally outside of the Republican Party. His weakness is with conservatives, people who follow issues and care about conservative issues, because Trump doesn't, and with the Republican establishment, because he's trying to kind of burn down the Republican Party. That's what he's campaigning on. This is a corrupt party. I'm going to tear it down and rebuild it. And so he's reaching out to the establishment here. Chris Christie has always irked conservatives. Is there any way he can reach out to the conservatives, or is he going to try to push them aside and build his sort of populist establishment coalition? And for me, the next question is, will the Christie donors, will sort of the lobbyists who love Chris Christie, will they be convinced by this to come on board with the Trump campaign? They've often signaled they prefer Trump to a conservative like Cruz, so this could be the beginning of a kind of Trump establishment piece that can push conservatives to the side.
Tim, I always got the notion during the campaign, however, though, that to the establishment, I know that's an overused term, anyone compared to Trump is looked upon favorably, maybe with the exception of Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
So if you're Chris Christie, the establishment remembers about the Sandy hurricane and his dealings with President Obama. I think, the governor got a bum rap on a lot of that stuff, but nevertheless, it did irk a lot of Romney loyalists who felt that just when Romney was surging into polls, that storm and his behavior with the president hurt that momentum. So he is not exactly, that is Governor Christie, a warm and fuzzy, cuddly guy with the establishment either, is he?
No, and this actually, one of the other effects of this could be Chris Christie just ended his career with the rest of the Republican Party. It's a sort of situation where he either has to, Trump has to win and give some, reward to Christie in the White House, VP, AG, tons of money, who knows what, or Chris Christie is just done. And I think he's happy to be done with the rest of the Republican Party, in part because he got beat up for that hug of Obama. But yeah, Christie's either going to be in a Trump administration or his future with the Republican Party is over.
All right, now all of this at a time when Marco Rubio was making some gains after a good debate performance tonight. But I remember Chris Christie had rave reviews after his debate performance a few weeks ago. We know what happened to him. Is the same thing, ironically now, about to happen to Marco Rubio as a result of what transpired in the last hour? Who knows? But we'll debate it and get into it after this.